Today marks exactly 14 years since I moved from Zambia to Scotland, and I have now officially spent half my life in Scotland and half my life in Zambia. And I want to share a few things I've learned from living in two completely different cultures. Hi, Inonge here. Welcome to Overflow Chat. So yeah, I'm feeling patriotic and I've got my Zambian football top on. 14 years on this day, I got on flight 254 from Lusaka International Airport to London Heathrow, and then got a connecting flight from London Heathrow to Glasgow International Airport, and then Scotland just hit. It's like, boom, we're here. I think it was about 11 o'clock we arrived, and it was like daylight. It's like, what's happening? What is this place? And obviously I'm not 14 anymore. I was 14 when I moved. I'm now 28. I don't know where the time has gone, but I've learned a lot during that time. There's so many things that I've changed my views on as a result of seeing perspectives, seeing different things from a Zambian perspective and also from a Scottish perspective. So I just want to share a few of those. So the first thing would just be learning to appreciate cultures without creating an inferiority or superiority thing. The reason I say this is because when I first moved here, it maybe comes from a feeling of you're in the minority, you're missing home, feeling of nostalgia, but I was constantly comparing every single thing to Zambia, and obviously Zambia was winning. I was like, oh, well, in Zambia we used to do this, in Zambia we used to do that. I remember just thinking, because people couldn't do the mathematics at the level that I could do because of the way the Zambian education system works, I was just thinking, oh, the Zambian education system is so much better than this. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do that. They don't have all this information that I have in my head because I learned it in grade 5. And as I have done, I'm using the Zambian education system as an example because that's the main thing that I've learned to appreciate how both cultures' systems work. And I've, in one way, benefited from having the best of both worlds. I do appreciate the level of critical thinking that you're encouraged to do in Scotland. It's not just about knowing information and memorizing it and giving it back. Constantly, critically analyze. And I'm finding that really hard. Like, what's the answer? Just tell me the answer. You know how to memorize information. And it's just something that benefits creative people. There's so many things good with it. And there's other things that I found, not so helpful, or things that I thought, well, that could be done a bit better. Likewise, I look back at the Zambian education system and I think I'm grateful that I was able to learn, I've got a well-rounded geography now. I've got lots of information that I now know, but I'm thinking, and I needed to know that because, but I'm grateful for the hard work and the ethic that you just develop that I still use to this day, and the way in which you're encouraged to learn, the way in which you're encouraged to work hard, because if you don't work hard, really, you can't get away with it. You can't just wing stuff. You can't, there's no benefit system. It's just, it's all about the outcome that you get from the hard work that you put in. And so I've learned to look at both and go, that works, that doesn't work, that works, that doesn't work, rather than putting them side to side and being like, which one is superior. And so that comes from lots of different things about how people speak to each other, how people address each other, the cultural norms that I'm able to notice a lot more and just see how it's done differently. And yeah, to be honest, just seeing the benefits and the downsides of both, without being a downer on one or the other. The second thing would be how you respond to ignorance or ignorant comments, ignorant questions. Now, when this first started to happen, when you arrive and people ask you some silly questions about whether you lived in a tree or you lived in a mud hut and whether you rode an elephant to school, first reaction, to be honest, when I first got a few of those questions was just like, are they being for real? And then I came to realize that, yeah, people are being for real. And then another response or another reaction you can have to that is just like, oh, for goodness sake, making people feel like, yeah, that's a stupid question. I'm going to let you know that that's a stupid question. Another response is just having a rant to your other African friends about just how ignorant people are. And yeah, you can respond in a lot of manners that I think don't actually bring any benefit whatsoever. So the person is still left ignorant and you're mad, nothing gets resolved. And so even just from, as a Christian, from a Christian perspective, the way you respond to even, yes, ignorant questions. Yes, they are ignorant questions, but there's a way to deal with it that I think is educational and using it as an opportunity. Like, people genuinely don't know, and you can have fun with it. There was some times where I was like, I wonder how much I can say and they'll believe and I can get away with, and I'll just make stuff up just to see what people believe. But now I use it as an opportunity to educate. So when people ask me questions, take a deep breath, don't get mad, and just say, well, no, actually, this is what happens. No, actually, this is where I lived. I have photos now. I have photographic evidence. I can show them the house that I lived in. I can tell them about what school was like. I can tell them about the good side and, not neglecting some of the negative things as well, but just giving them a balanced perspective of, actually, this is where I come from. And you'd be amazed how much people soak in that information. And you know what? The next time they have a conversation with a person from another African country, they'll be a lot more educated about it, and they'll be able to ask more meaningful questions off the back of the conversation they've had with you. And so that's one thing that I've learned just how to take those opportunities where people ask silly questions as an opportunity to educate them about it. I tell you what, all my friends, like from school, like all my white friends, like they know all about African hair now. It's like, I remember one of my other friends asked like, oh, so like, did your hair just like grow longer? Like, how did it grow so long? And she just went, weave. And I was like, oh, she knows. She's a pro. And that just came from like months and months of me just being like, no, that's a crochet braid. No, those are braids. No, that's a weave. No, that's a wig. No, that's my real hair. And so learning to take opportunities to tell people about your culture and where you come from, rather than getting mad that they don't know about it. I'm sure there's a lot that can be done for people to, not have those questions in the first place. You could talk about media and what's portrayed about the continent of Africa, about various African countries. Yes, that could be improved. But actually, from the ground down, I just do. I take videos of stuff, I take photos, and I show people, and I'm like, this is what it's really like. And it's helpful for everyone. Another thing has just been with regards to self-knowledge and knowing why I do what I do and why I act the way that I act. There's certain things in my personality and the way that I am that I know is to do with Zambian culture and my upbringing. And I only notice it more because I come across people that think differently or relate differently. And just an example of that is just being emotional. It's like, emotions, what are those? You don't have time. Like people asking you about your feelings, you're like, you're in boarding school. It's like, no, get on with it. Study. And so there's a culture of, I'm grateful for it in that it builds resilience. But a negative effect of that is that there's not an encouragement to share how you're feeling. You're not encouraged to ask for help necessarily, because you're just encouraged to persevere and to bear things. And so whilst it builds your resilience, and I'm grateful for that, it's like I can take a lot before I go, okay, I need help. But I've had to unlearn some of that and maybe ask for help before I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't take this anymore, and just be willing to accept help from other people. I mean, that's so hard for me to do. I'm like, I'm fine. Are you fine? I'm fine. I can handle it. It's fine. I've been through worse. I went to boarding school in Zambia. I can handle it. And just that kind of mindset mentality. You hear me say that. It's like, well, I've been through worse. And I keep saying that over and over again. And it's like, actually, part of being human is understanding that we have limitations. And part of being human is needing both other people and needing God as well. And so having to learn that not necessarily... So being independent without being self-dependent. If that makes sense. And so just finding that balance, understanding why I act the way they act, why other people act the way they act. I'm able to pick up on cultural cues from people from different cultures and say, okay, they're not being rude, right? I used to work in an African restaurant, and like, honestly, there's certain African countries where it might come across as if they're being rude, but they're not being rude. They're just straightforward. And so I'm able to pick up on those things a lot more, which I find really helpful. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for listening. If you're somebody that's moved cultures, I would love to know how you found that transition and some of the things that you've learned as a result of living in two different cultures. Even if you're not Zambian, I'll let you contribute to the chat. Just let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching. Bye.